right, good morning. We're going to take apart the carburetor on the CR250R. This is off a 96. It's a Keihin carburetor. I'll see if I can get the exact model number, but in all reality, all these carburetors kind of work the same and come apart the same. So this should be useful for anybody looking to take apart their carburetor. We're going to clean it in an ultrasonic cleaner because this one is disgusting. And replace any parts that need to be replaced. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here and see what we got. So to do this job, this is what you're going to need. This is a 14mm wrench, 17mm socket, 6mm socket, small flat blade, a number 2 Japanese Phillips screwdriver, a little pick, and a little something like a drill bit to push the pin out that holds the float ball. Okay, so if your carburetor is still on your motorcycle, obviously the cable comes in. You could just screw the top off, and this whole assembly will come out as one with the slide. So it'll look like this when you pull it out of the carburetor, and the cable goes through the spring and connects to the top of the needle here, which has like a little slot, so you could push the cable in and then turn it at an angle, then the little nub on your throttle cable will come out. And these needles are interchangeable as well, so we'll pull that out, and usually that's just I think it's a 6mm that's usually in there. Okay, so we have the 6mm socket, and that goes right on top. And you should be able to turn it just 90 degrees, and that allows this part to slide out of the carburetor, which forces the needle to stay put. And there's your needle. And all these needles have clips on them to lean out or richen the mixture at mid throttle. So, but we'll just leave that to the side for now. We'll take off our hoses that we have here. Okay, that's off and in the garbage. Okay, so what we'll do now is take out the bowl here. It's just 4 screws at the bottom. Alright, so we see there it's pretty crusty. And we'll go ahead and take the float bowl bolt on the bottom out as well. Okay, this here is a 17mm. Alright, well that's it for the bowl, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so now we have our float here, and if you look towards the back here, there's actually a pin that holds it in, and I'll get a small drill bit or something to push that out. Okay, so I've heard that these get stuck sometimes, but I've done quite a few carburetors, never run into that. So you could push it from either side. So, and there's the pin. We'll put that to the side. And at that point, your float bowl just pulls straight up, and that thing dangling there is your float needle to let the gas in or out when this thing's floating in the carburetor. Okay. And on the bottom of that, there's just a rubber coating, and that's what makes the seal. So if you see yours is bad, then it's gonna overflow the bowl. This one surprisingly looks okay though. So I likely won't put it in the ultrasonic cleaner because anything that's rubber kind of takes a beating in there. Those float needles are like 20, 30 bucks sometimes too. Okay, so we have our main jet and our pilot jet here, so we'll pull those out. Once again, the main jet's a 6 mil. Okay, there she is. You could actually see through it as well, which is kind of surprising. Let's see if we get an angle there for you. So I'm actually surprised it's clean enough to pull that off. So, and then we have our pilot, which is just a flat blade screwdriver that will take that out. Okay, so we'll take the pilot out. Okay, there she is. And that one I can see through as well, which I'm surprised that these aren't clogged, but we'll go ahead and clean these though. So I think that's all we're going to take off from inside there. Then we have our choke assembly here. We'll take that off. And that's a 14 mil. Okay, and that just unscrews. And there she is. And I won't put that in the ultrasonic cleaner as well. Then we have the fuel mixture screw, which is hidden in the corner here. We'll pull that out, and that's just a flat blade as well. And typically there's a spring in there too, so you got to be careful. There it is. This one comes out as one big unit, so okay. And that should be it for the body of the carburetor. So now it's ready to go in. One thing you want to know is there's a gasket on the bowl that you probably want to pull off and replace. I'm sure this one's hard as a rock. So there's the gasket. You could tell that's probably original the way it's coming out. It is possible to reuse these. You know, if the carburetor wasn't leaking, it probably won't leak after you rebuild it anyways, but for the price of the gasket, you just go ahead and replace it. All right, when you're done, this is pretty much what you should have. You know, starting from the beginning of what I took off and kind of went that direction. So what we have is a Harbor Freight Special ultrasonic cleaner. It actually works pretty good, to be honest with you. I'll set it for the max of just 480 seconds. I'll probably do 2 or 3 cycles, and usually I have to rotate the carburetor a little bit because it's a little bit big for the cleaner. But all I have is some dish soap in there. I will advise that you don't want to go too crazy with any kind of chemicals to clean it, because it is hard on aluminum. So I've had a lot of luck with this with just dish soap, and it's pretty easy on it. All right, so that gets it pretty close. I have the water a little bit high, but I'm just going to do the main body and the bowl for now. And then once those are clean, I will put the little parts all together. So we'll go ahead and get this started. Okay, so the parts are out of the cleaner, just to show you how dirty this water gets. So it's doing its job. And the body looks great, all cleaned up pretty nice. You will have to take an air compressor or something to blow the holes out. So I'll go ahead and do that after, but I just wanted to show you the parts. There is still some grime in the bottom, but it's much better than what it was. So that's pretty good. So I'll go ahead and blow the ports out. And I don't have a new gasket or jets. These are pretty dirty, and I'm planning on getting a jet kit anyway, so for the sake of it, I'm going to put it back together with these parts, but in reality it's going to come back apart once I'm done with this build, and I can jet it. So I'll go ahead and blow these ports out. So basically anywhere that there was a jet or something like that, you just want to blow out and make sure it's clean. There's some vents there, everything that you see inside here. I'll just go ahead and blow it out. And I'm going to put some glasses on, and I recommend you do the same. Okay, so we'll just go through all the openings. Okay, you can do this one too if you want on the football. So that's good. So we'll go ahead and put it back together kind of like how we took it apart. So we'll start with the mixture screw. Make sure the spring is still on it. If it's not, then you're going to have issues. And what you want to do, you don't want to over tighten this, you just want to let it bottom out, then turn out 1.5 turns. And if your jetting's right, that should be pretty close. Okay, so I got it bottomed out, so that's 1/2, 1.5. Okay, then we'll do the choke assembly. That one just tightens down. This one doesn't need crazy force either, so. Okay, then we'll do the pilot jet. You don't need to tighten these down anything ridiculous either. Okay, and we got our main jet. Okay, then we got to assemble our float, which is just a little tab here that goes over the tab on the float. Yeah, it goes this way. So once you have it right, it'll just hang like that. And then you could just slide the needle in place. Then you got that pin that slides in, and make sure it doesn't fall out when you're moving this thing around. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll put the bowl on. Okay, pretty much only goes on one direction. Got the 4 screws. And like I mentioned, there's no gasket in this one, but if this was the final time you were assembling it, I'd recommend getting a new gasket for the bowl. And there's also a little gasket that goes on your float bowl bolt to drain it. Okay. Put this back on. Then we have our slider. Put the needle in first. Then you have the locking mechanism. this is a good view of where the cable goes in. You slide the nub in here first, then you bring the cable through the slot. So that's going to go in. And you just tighten it 90 degrees and you'll feel it lock in. Okay, so now the needle can't come out. And we could go ahead and slide our slide in, and it only goes in one direction. Okay, and you know you got it right when it goes all the way down, so you can't see an opening. Okay, then it's spring next. And at that point, we just tighten this little girl, and she's good to go. So that's it. It's all cleaned up, and once I get the gasket and jets, I'll be ready to go. So, you know, one thing off the list, and we'll move on to another. You know, once this bike is up and running, I will tune it, and I'll share that information as well. But yeah, so it went pretty smooth. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you.